Coming up next on Week in Review, on this 4th of July weekend, many celebrate by shooting off fireworks or stuffing themselves with burgers and hot dogs. In Merriam, Kansas, they celebrate America's independence from the British by putting up a sea of flags, a glorious field of nearly 2,000 of them. KCPT's Kyle Gary reports on what's now become a tradition in the northeast Johnson County city.
Every year, nearly 2,000 American flags are put on display around the city of Merriam, Kansas. These symbols of patriotism are a part of the Flags for Freedom event, where volunteers from all walks of life dedicate their time to honor their country and their community. While most people are still asleep, these volunteers were already working hard at the Merriam Marketplace. These volunteer jobs range from pounding rebar into the ground to placing the flags at specified locations on the site.
Well, we've grown from a small town event, if you will, to what we believe is a community event, and just bringing people out and enjoying the flags. They're up for a week. People just walk among them.
Going into the 8th year of this tradition, there were a few setbacks. Some of the flags were not fit to fly with the rest of the Old Glories. That means there were less flags this year than in previous ones.
Many of the flags that we have were used 8 years ago, so they are starting to be frayed and showing their wear and their age.
Just like the 4th of July, this event is meant to celebrate our independence and honors those who fought for our freedoms. Flags for Freedom is open until July 6th, and everyone is invited to visit. For KCPT, I'm Kyle Gary.